Hey everybody, welcome back to the Race 5 Smokehouse and Grill, and today we are making these amazing reverse seared tri-tip flatbreads on the Weber kettle. Let's go! So we're going to be making this flatbread and we're going to be doing some things from scratch. So this is going to be a few steps. Step one, we're going to make some quick pickled red onions. So first thing we need to do is get this onion finely sliced. Got this nice medium red onion. I'm just going to cut the ends off. I like to give a little slit in here and then peel back the first layer of paper and onion if need be. Have the paper peeled. I like giving just a quick cut in half. And now we're just going to cut this very, very thin. These are going to be quick pickled red onions. So these got to be thin so that pickle could work. So we're just going to go as thin as we can on these. We have our onions sliced up. I like to go ahead and kind of pull them apart and get them loose, because once we put them in the jars and get that pickling solution over it, you're going to want to have as much of that surface area of the onion exposed so we can get that pickling job done quick. That's done looking great. Let's get these into a couple jars so we can start making that pickling brine. Got our jars filled. Next step, I just have a couple cloves of garlic. I'm going to smash, put them in there, try to get a little extra garlic flavor in there. Take that paper off. Just throwing the whole thing in there. These jars are ready to go. Let's clean this up and get that pickling brine started. Okay, we have our outdoor oven set up. We're gonna get this fired up. Get that down to about a medium heat. So here's the ingredients for it. We're gonna add half a cup of water, quarter cup of white vinegar, quarter cup of apple cider vinegar, about 1.5 tablespoons of honey. Usually you could use sugar. I like using the honey, gives a little kick and it's great extra flavor. So just about 1.5 tablespoons, about 1.5. Then in here we have 1.5 teaspoons of salt and about 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. That's gonna give more flavor and a little bit more heat to this, which is going to be awesome. There's a quick mix, make sure all that stuff gets dissolved in here. That vinegar and that honey, smelling it right away. It is a strong vinegary smell, so if you're cooking this in the house, be prepared. Your house is gonna smell like a little bit of vinegar. All you're trying to do is heat this through, get the solution all nice and hot. We're gonna shut it off, move this over. Now it's time to make a mess. Just gonna pour this right in here. Only a little bit of a mess. And that's actually perfect enough for this one container. So that's all we're gonna do. Get it nice and mixed up in there. Quick pickled red onions. These are gonna cook a little bit with that hot solution. That's really gonna allow those flavors to penetrate the onion and get it nice and pickled. So when we're ready to add it to this flatbread, it's going to be perfect. We're just gonna set this off to the side until we're ready to use them. Let's get this cleaned up and let's go get that tri-tip. Here we go. Here is this beautiful cut of tri-tip. Got it at our local grocery store. It's about 3 pounds. This is choice, but if you see this marbling on here, I'm surprised it was labeled as choice because this is gorgeous. I knew I had to have it and cook it. First thing we got to do, you can see there's a lot of fat and some silver skin on here. I'm going to give this a good trimming, so let's show you how we do it. Got some of this loose fat. Just get that out of here. Same thing here, you got this kind of grizzle on top. I'm just taking that right off. Any kind of silver skin like this that you could get under, get it out of there. Man, look at this marbling in here. This is just gorgeous. And take this off here. Get any of this kind of flappy stuff, get it right out of there. Got some harder fat here. Get out of here because that's not going to cook well. And it's not going to eat well. This tri-tip is trimmed up. Just look at all that marbling in here. This is going to be gorgeous. Now the one thing to note on tri-tip is how the grain runs in different directions. So on this side it's running this way, but over here the grain's running this way. So when we slice this, we're going to cut it right in half, and then we're going to go against the grain this way and against the grain this way. Let's go ahead and give this a quick season. I'm going to start with the back side here, the fattier side up front. And we're going to give this a pretty basic seasoning overall. We're going to start with kosher salt. Give it a good seasoning. Pat that in there. We're going to go with some 16 mesh black pepper, coarse. Final seasoning, we're going to hit it with some Meat Dave all-purpose seasoning. This also has a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, but what I really like is the red pepper flakes in here. So we're going to go ahead, add this on top. This is a perfect final seasoning for this. Now we're going to do all the sides. Don't waste that stuff on the cutting board. Use it up. There we have it, all seasoned up. We're gonna let this seasoning stick for about 15 minutes or so while we fire up that Weber kettle. So let's head over to the grill and fire up. We have it set up for indirect cooking because this is going to be a reverse sear cook. So we're going to get this fired up, let that tri-tip come up to temp and give it a sear at the end. So we have a couple wax cubes in here using the slow and sear. You can use the baskets that come with the grill or just line it up along the back of here. That'll work as well. Now let's get this fired up. Now I do have a couple pieces of pecan wood in here. That's going to add a nice smoke flavor once this charcoal gets lit up. So I'm going to throw the grate on and let this come up to temp. And we'll be back in a few when the grill's ready to go. This has been going for a few minutes now. We got that nice smoke rolling coming out of the vent. Vent's about halfway open. That's where we're gonna leave it at. I'm gonna try to keep that temp below 300 or so while we're doing the first part of this cook. So let's go check that flame, make sure those wax cubes are burnt out and this fire's ready to go. Let's go take a peek. Lighter cubes are gone, completely burned out. We've got the charcoal starting to ash over. We have one of the pieces of wood catching up, giving us a really nice smoke. So now it's time to get that tri-tip on the grill. I'm gonna put it long edge here. This is the thicker, longer side. This side kind of curves up, so I'm gonna put this side against the fire. We got this on, indirect heat. Let's close it up and let it cook. That's basically it. We're gonna let this roll until it hits about 110, 115 degrees internal temperature. Then we're gonna give it a really good sear on all sides, pull it off, let it rest before we make our flatbread. Let's get back over the table because now we're gonna make a horseradish sauce to go with this, so let's go. Well, that's cooking. Let's get this horseradish sauce made. This is delicious. A nice little drizzle over the top of this at the end. Let's show you how we make this. We start with a half a cup of sour cream, add 2 tablespoons of horseradish, 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. Then we're gonna add roughly a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, teaspoon and a half, depending on how much you like it. We have about a teaspoon and a half in there. Then we're gonna add some salt, a nice little pinch, half a teaspoon or so. And then you're gonna do pepper to taste. Again, how much pepper do you like? Roughly half a teaspoon as well. Then we're gonna go with roughly a teaspoon of some chopped chives, finely chopped chives. Mix that all together. Get that horseradish, pepper, salty, a little tart from the sour cream, mayonnaise, all this works together and it goes so great with anything beef. Once that's mixed together, well, give it a taste. Perfect. Horseradishy right off the front. Then it cools down with that sour cream and mayo, a little salty with just a little twang of that apple cider vinegar. I'm gonna go throw this in the fridge, let this come together while this cooks. Now we're just gonna let that tri-tip come up to about 110, 115, and that's when we're going to pull it off and sear it. We're roughly 40 minutes in on this cook. The temp probe I had in there is reading somewhere between 110, 115. Let's go take a look, give it a sear. Let's go check this out. Now, as you can see, this is looking gorgeous. We're temping somewhere in the 120s here. We're about 110, 112 here. So this is perfect time to pull it off. Let it rest a minute while the fire gets hot. You want a nice hot fire. Actually, it's getting pretty close now, so I'm just gonna move this down a little bit. and just let this fire come up, and then we're gonna sear it about 1.5 minutes per side. This fire is rolling beautifully right now, so I'm just gonna go ahead, throw this top side down, get a quick sear on here for about 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. It's been about 1 minute directly over that heat. Let's go ahead and flip it to the other side. I mean, look at that. Gosh, that's good. Our reverse seared tri-tip is done. We're gonna pull it off and let it rest. And as it's resting, we're gonna start putting together our naan bread for this flat top. And we're gonna continue to let that heat get up in the grill. Gonna have that wide open so it's nice and hot, because this is gonna cook quick once we put it back on the grill. We pulled the tri-tip off, wrapped it in some foil. It's been sitting here about 15 minutes. Now it's time to start putting this whole thing together. That's the whole reason we are here. The last piece, we're gonna take some provolone cheese, grate it with the microplaner here, because this is gonna go right onto that naan bread. And I like using the microplaner over the regular grater because this gets it really fine, and this is gonna melt real easily. Get this cheese off to the side here. This tri-tip is looking and smelling delicious. Let's slice into this so we can put this whole thing together. And as we mentioned earlier, you can see how the grain's running this way, and we know the other one's running this way. So I'm gonna give it a slice right down the middle here. Oh God, it smells great. Perfectly cooked. Now we know the grain's running this way, so now we're gonna cut this way against the grain. Now I'm gonna try to do nice and thin for this flatbread. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, look at this. This is absolutely gorgeous. Just perfect. Absolutely perfect. So before I put this all together, I have to try a piece of this because this is just looking amazing. Holy cow. I don't even know if you have to do this whole flatbread thing. I'm thinking about just tossing it out and just picking at this all night. Wow. Now I'll admit, I am cheating on this. I just bought some naan bread from the grocery store. I'm gonna take this naan bread. We're gonna spread some of this beautiful provolone cheese. Don't need too much, just enough to go around. And by using this microplaner on the cheese, you really get that cheese nice and almost fluffy, and it is gonna melt very well. So now you're gonna take a few of these thin slices of the tri-tip here. Just place them kind of all over. Oh, this is gonna be good. Get some of these pickled onions on here. Again, you don't need a bunch. These are big flavor. I did try a couple already. They're sweet, got a little kick to them. This is as far as we're gonna go right now with this. Time to get it on the grill, let it heat through. Our grill's about at 370 degrees. This is only gonna take a minute or two to heat through. We'll pull it off, drizzle some horseradish sauce, slice it up and try it. This is going to be awesome. Let's go throw this on the grill. This was on the Weber for roughly 2 minutes. The cheese is melted, looking fantastic. Now it's time to give it a quick drizzle with that horseradish sauce and dig in. Put it into a little bottle here so we can control the drizzle a little bit more. I almost don't want to eat it, but I know I have to because this is going to be amazing. It's got some shears here. Use your pizza cutter, whatever you have. I'm just getting into with what I have. We've got the horseradish, we've got the pickled red onions, we've got the cheese, we've got the tri-tip, we've got the beautiful naan bread. Mouth's watering just thinking about this. I was just gonna make a normal sandwich out of these, but I think this was the right way to go. Everything works together perfectly. You get the acidity and sweetness from the onion. You get that tang and pop from the horseradish. You get that sour cream, creamy coolness. That tri-tip, salty and beefy. My goodness, this is a great cook. Easy, little bit of prep work, who cares? It's worth it. If you don't want to do all that prep work, go to the store. They sell pickled onions, they sell horseradish sauce. Just put it together. Get a tri-tip, make some flatbread. You're gonna love it. If you like what we did here, Please hit that like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Check me out on social media, and we will be talking to you all soon. Take care. Peace.